Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gerken Companies. Had to get some playoff calls in there this week as we head into the regional quarterfinals. Joined again by Tory, Strock to my right, Neil Schuller to my left. I am Lynn Groll, ready for round two and the regional quarterfinal round of the postseason. Good to have Neil Schuller back with us.
Yeah.
He took Friday night off and treated the wife to her birthday dinner.
Yeah,
Glad
sometimes
you could do that for Andrea.
Sometimes you have to do those things, you know.
Yeah, you do.
Absolutely
Yeah, you do.
appreciate it. It was good. We had a good time. So
I love it.
That's about the end of that analysis.
I love it. That's all we need. That's all we need. I remember well the Antwerp Jefferson game. Holy smoke. Jefferson had them dead to rights. All they had to do was protect the football, eat some clock. Ball carrier hits the line of scrimmage, got one hand on the ball, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, they're going to be stripping him. Sure enough, the rest is history. Point conversion, Carson Ultimus, and it was feast or famine. It was a straight-ahead quarterback run, and he got in. Boy, that was a great memory.
Who else are you going to give it to in that situation besides Carson Ultimus?
He's
Landon Brewer, but
yeah,
I think you give it to your guy that got you there.
Your bell cow. Yep, yeah, absolutely.
Boy, miss those guys.
Oh, boy, they were special.
Yeah.
They were special. And the torch has been passed to a host of young men now in Northwest Ohio doing great things. Saw some outstanding performances last week. How about Owen Espinoza at Napoleon? 5 touchdown passes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Tell you what, he got on fire.
Yeah, he did.
Laid it on Clearview, not Crestview,
yeah.
Clearview.
Boy, they did.
Not a surprise to us.
No. If you did your homework,
you knew what was coming there.
You saw that coming.
Yeah. See, we'll break down the Wildcats matchup this week against Bay Village Bay. A little bit different challenge for them, but the Cats, they're going to have a chance to move on again here, I think.
They are.
That here in a few minutes.
Nice. I spent quite a bit of time yesterday watching. I watched the entire Tenora-Terry football game because, you see stats and you see highlights, but you don't see maybe a critical fumble that changed the tone of the game and stuff. And there were a lot of things that happened in that game that you couldn't have gathered from the stats or the highlights. So I enjoyed watching that. Watch some Sandusky Perkins film. Oh, wow. They're nasty. And I'll tell you one that I couldn't turn off. Didn't watch the whole game like I said I was gonna, because that Tenora-Carey game had my attention. The Ironton Fighting Tigers. Wow. Remember that Perry team last year, had some game breakers? Ironton's
they have about 5 of those.
Yes, they do. And they all look like clones. They're just
I talked to you on Saturday morning on Rise and Rewind. You in agreement with me? They're a little bit different.
They're different
this year.
They're different. And their defensive line, like their nose guard, is an absolute immovable force that just as soon as the ball snapped, that center's 3, 4, 5 yards deep in the backfield. And now everything's disrupted. It's impressive to watch. Oh, wow.
Was that the game against St. Francis?
It was.
It was. Yeah. That team's good.
That team is
and they
loaded.
Absolutely decimated them.
They did. That team, every player on St. Francis, it's like when you watch like Modern Day and IMG Academy on ESPN, that's what the St. Francis team looked like. Every guy looked like a Division I recruit.
I think they played IMG Academy.
They might have. Yeah, I think you're right.
I think they did.
Yeah, I think you're right
this year.
They
got grilled, but I don't know that they got beaten as bad as they did against Ironton. Actually, would you, for reference, put them up against the South Range team from 2 years ago and this Perry team from a year ago? It would be. I would give Ironton probably the edge in both of those. Matchups.
The Perry team from 2 years ago.
Last year.
The South Range team from 2 years ago that we saw play Liberty at Clyde, right?
Yes.
That team, to me, like if you're comparing that South Range team from 2 years ago to Perry last year, I liked that South Range team.
Now, they didn't have Jaden Studio. They're stud running back.
Just played
would have
defense.
made a difference, yes.
Yes, he just played defensive end that game. You're right. It's razor thin there, but I really like that South Range team. And the thing about that South Range team that stood out to me was just how nasty they were on the lines.
That's how Perkins is this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're darn right. Perkins wants to hurt you, like Rex Lingering used to tell his teams to do. They don't want to just beat you. They want to physically dominate
Take your will.
and just steal your will. Yeah. Yep. And Ironton, is out of that mold this year. They're not content with just executing and moving the ball and that. They want to inflict some, as Rex used to say, legal discomfort. And they're nasty. There's some heavyweights out there. So I would encourage folks to, you can find, and sometimes
it's not
find
hard
stuff on YouTube and that, and it may just be some highlights, but you put together a few games of highlights, you get a pretty good sample. And boy, some of these high level recruits, some of these, Ironton has some guys.
Yeah.
Perkins has a guy going, I think Michigan State. Another one going to Harvard.
Yep.
So they got a little brains and brawn there. But boy, it's tough sledding when you get outside of this little bubble we live in here.
Milan Edison beat them. We're going to get some matchups against Milan Edison next week from some of our area teams, possibly.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's where you lose a little bit of kind of line of sight with this first week, right? We get some of these, and we talked about it last week, that the 16-1 blowout matchups. And Lynn, I know you got some stats on this for a little bit later, and you go, oh, well, the playoffs, and that's just what it is. The further we go down this road, there's going to be some Titans facing off. And I'm not, talking about mascots wise. I'm talking about just physical, close, will battling games. And it gets exciting, man. If you're not excited for the next 5 weeks of football, man, oh man.
Yeah. Kind of get us through that first week, and now things start to get a little bit better, and they keep getting better.
And you don't want to look ahead too far, but I know, at least I'm guilty of
I do it all
looking down the way, looking down the way and going, man, what if those two square? Wow.
You know what I like best? I like neutral site games better than host. You know what I mean? I understand, I understand the hosting, why they do it in that, but give me the neutral site games, man.
You bet.
That's when you go back to the playoffs when there were 2 teams and 4 teams, and neutral site right out of the gate. It's just special.
It is.
2 full sides of the stadium.
Full as teams are,
nice autumn weather. Yeah. 30s, 40s, crisp.
Yep. Coming up, boys. Coming up.
Yeah, it is.
We're going to have that type of feel Friday, I think.
I think so.
Feels that way.
I think so.
Get through Tuesday, but
45 lower seeds won on the opening weekend of the playoffs. 1 seeds were 28-0. Average margin of victory 42 points. No games closer than 20 points. In the 1-16 matchups. 2 seeds were 25-3, won by an average of 34. 3 seeds 26-2, won by 26. 4 seeds 24-4, plus 19 on average. 5 seeds 22-6, plus 18 on average. 6 seeds were 17-11. So the 6-11 matchups got pretty tight. Average margin of victory 12. 7 seeds were 21-7, won by an average of 2 touchdowns, and then 8 seeds were 16-12, and average margin of victory there was 2. Thank you to Drew Pastores and Fantastic 50 for all those stats. Boy, do they do some great work.
That's great.
Anything you need, you can go on their website and pretty much find it. So we got 3 15s remaining, 2 14s, 4 13s, 6 12s, 11 11s, and then 7 10s. Are also, as far as double-digit seeds are concerned, are still alive. Road victors from week 1, since we went to the 16-team regional playoff. Teams that win on the first week only win 17. Have only won 17 times.
Say that one more time.
So if you went on the road the first week, is a lower seed. Week 2, you are 17-109. Those teams are.
Wow, 17-109
in the second round. And only 3 of the 17 have made regional finals. Springfield a year ago, which got to the state championship. Anderson in 2022, who was a 10, and then Padua Franciscan, who was a 10 in 2022 as well.
Well, and speaking of Springfield, one of the quote-unquote upsets in the state scene this last week got knocked off by one of the Hilliard teams. I want to say Hilliard-Bradley. As a 12, I believe, knocked Springfield last year's state finals, who, by the way, gave St. Ed's all that they wanted in that state championship game last year, and they're out.
Yeah.
So
Worcester is a 14 in 2021, won 2 playoff games, and St. Henry as a 14 a year ago. They also won 2 playoff games, but did not get to a regional final. Marion Local has Seventh has held 17 straight adversaries under 10 points. 17 straight.
That means our young kids are coming in and doing the job too.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
and
they
that's
get a lot of mop-up time.
and here's the thing. That's how this thing just keeps on rolling and rolling and rolling, right? So when those guys become starters, Friday night lights are not.
No.
You don't get enamored by what's going on the field for Friday night. You've already done it for 6-7 weeks of regular season time. It's just now you're the starter,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
not to mention all the extra practice and reps through an extra 6 weeks. I mean, it's for every 2 years you're playing 3 seasons worth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How many straight years do you think Marion Local has won one playoff game? At least one.
23.
Close.
I'll go with 25.
20 straight years they have won at least one playoff game.
I just picked the year 2001 off the top of my
Yeah.
head. That's where I came up with
Yeah.
23.
St. Ed's, who will go to Whitmer this week, they have won 15 straight years on the opening weekend of the playoffs. Kirtland has also won 15 straight years. Toledo Central Catholic, 14 straight years. Mogador, 13 straight years, and Wheelersburg, 12.
Wow. Yeah, interesting.
Some legacy there.
Yeah. Mogador, we know there's some tradition, especially going back into the 80s. But I think Mogador has one state title to show for all
I
their
think so, yeah.
history. That'd be
2018?
no. We're going way back. with
Yeah,
Mogador. When they beat St. Henry in that 7
they
overtime
may have
game.
won.
Did they beat St. Henry in a 7 overtime game at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium?
I got to find it.
Yeah.
I think they won more than one.
I guess I always assumed they won more because they have so much tradition.
The
But
most recent one was
Newark-
2002.
Newark Catholic got them many years in a row.
yeah,
There in the early 80s.
yeah, right.
I think they finally broke through the year that they played Archbold in 88. They beat
Okay.
Newark Catholic, I think, in the state semis. Finally thought they had got to the cusp of getting one, and then Archbold just destroyed them that day.
Yeah.
2002 is when they
So
won
then
the state
they
championship.
might have two of them then.
79, 96, and 2002.
Okay,
Okay.
79. Yep. They did win 79. Now that I think
Give
about
me
it.
the years again.
79, 1996, and 2002.
Okay, 96 was, I think, the thriller against St. Henry.
That sounds right.
Had to be.
I wonder how many playoff appearances they've made.
Oh, geez.
Going down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
Us?
Mogador has 37. This year would make 38. 38
Yep.
state playoff appearances.
So, Tory, you were correct on that. A 61-58 triple overtime victory.
And if I don't know if your stats show this, Neil, but they were down
Yes.
like 5 touchdowns or
They were
something
down
crazy.
at half, trailing 35-9,
Okay.
Right. Yep.
and won in triple overtime, whatever I just said. 61-58.
Yeah. 17 times they've been state semifinalists.
That's
79, 80, 81. Did not get there in 82. 83, 84. I know 83 and 84 Newark Catholic beat them. 85, I'm almost certain Newark Catholic beat them. 86, Ayersville beat them in that thriller at
Berea.
at Baldwin Wallace. Had a great quarterback, the name of Richard Pierce. Oh, boy, he was a stud. 87, 88. So from 79 to 88, they only missed one state semifinal.
You know what that tells you? It just illustrates how hard it is to win a title.
It's
Period. End.
well, and here's the thing. We talk about this, but we get spoiled locally
Mhm.
with, the likes of Central Catholic and others, Liberty Center recently. And you go, oh, well, this happens to somebody in the area every year.
No.
It is incredibly hard
Yes, it is.
to get there.
Yes, it is.
They have won 74 playoff games in their program's history, guys. Mogador. The great Norm Lingle was their coach back there in the 70s and 80s. Just for some reference, curious how many wins Marion Local have. They have 103 now.
Yeah, they've stacked them the last.
Oh, yeah. They've
couple
closed
decades.
the ground in a hurry.
Yeah. There's some interesting
No,
Heck,
that's
state
good
stuff.
stuff.
state history stuff, but
That's great
you know,
stuff.
Mogadore and Newark Catholic back in the 80s was
Slugfest.
Mhm.
Oh. different world.
Wow.
Any other takeaways from the opening week and how the higher seeds have performed? Do we need a readjustment of how we
Yes.
seed the teams at least? Do we need a strength of schedule component?
Well, and Lynn, your stats, sorry, Tory, your stats, I
you're good.
think, say it and say it all. I mean, the number one seeds are 28-0 with an average margin of victory of 42 points. I mean, this is not this is not good, in my opinion, for playoffs, for the game, for the number one seeds who, have put together a body of work that's put them into that spot. We have too many teams at 16. We need to narrow it down.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. My concern is, and this was a big concern of mine when I was coaching. I've said it many times. I'll say it again real fast. We had a lot of years where we were like 6-4 in our losses, and we were a D4, and our losses were to Division I or II Perrysburg, Division I or Division II Anthony Wayne.
Yep.
Maybe throw a really good Southview team in there, and so we'd finish 11th or 12th, 10th a couple times. We're on the outside looking in.
Yep.
And I'm going, this just isn't fair because we're better than boom, 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 boom. We couldn't get in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So I was all for expansion, but Napoleon's a pretty unique case.
Not the only unique case.
Not the only unique
Alpha
case.
St. John's at 15-1 a week ago. Was anybody surprised by
No.
that?
There you
I
go.
mean, they probably played 8 teams that were better than their opening round opponent throughout the season.
Yeah. So Lynn, you've mentioned, and I agree. And I've always, because I figured, well, there's probably nothing much better than the Harbin system, right? First level points, who you beat. Second level, who you beat, beats. Problem is, you can beat a bad team that beats an even worse team.
Correct.
And now you rack up the points because there is no third level, And so there has to be, because again, Napoleon, they don't get in. And the proof is in the pudding. Look what they did to Clearview, who was a 4 seed, for crying out loud.
Correct.
That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's even more ridiculous.
The seeding issue.
It's a seeding issue more than it is anything
Not saying
else.
that Napoleon needed to be a 4 seed. They probably should have been a 10, 9.
Yeah.
Not a 13.
Well, not a 13.
You go 5-5. You shouldn't be a
No, you can
7
say,
or 8
well,
team.
you got blown out by Fremont. Well, it didn't get blown out. I shouldn't say blown out. You lose to Fremont Ross. You lose to BG. There were opportunities to improve your standing, but
certainly
right. But you those teams are better than 3/4 the teams on Clearview's whole schedule.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
So, yes. So it's a seeding issue, Lynn. I agree, and it's not a hard fix when you look at Drew Pasteur, when you look at what we have in Brayton Martin.
Yeah,
those guys
use something like that. If you look at their regional rankings, they're pretty close. I'm not saying they're perfect, but they're pretty darn close. It's a better system than the Harbin system.
Yeah. I think you go to 12 teams, you had a strength of schedule component, number one, a strength of schedule component, and then go to 12 teams, first round bye for the top 4.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, I would be too. But the strength of schedule component is the key. Otherwise, you have USV at number 2 and St. John's at 15, and they're getting the basketballs out.
Yeah.
And anybody who knows.
Right.
You think Todd Schulte was going to that game thinking, oh, we're the 15. We don't. They had a pretty good inkling of what was going to happen.
No doubt.
Friday night. Yeah. Conference playoff records after the first week. NLL Buckeye goes 3-1. The NLL Cardinal 1-3. PAC 1-1. GMC 1-3. WBL 5-2. One of the better records. NWC was another one, 4-1. Did the Northwest Conference first week. NWAL 2-3. Patrick Henry Liberty Center still alive there. NBC, a couple teams alive there, 2-3. Catholic High School League, just including the Ohio teams for reference. Central Catholic and St. Francis 2-0 on the first Friday of the season, and then the BBC 3 wins. BBC went 3-3.
Yeah, Lipsick big redemption win.
No question
at Ada. So congrats to them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what that tells us, if anything, I don't know what it means.
But. Yeah, I love it. And this, our listeners, it saves them a bunch of digging. You just have this at your fingertips. So these numbers are good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, good start for the NLL Buckeye. We'll see where they go this week. They have some Titanic
There's
Flashes in
rougher
one of 'em.
waters ahead
Yeah,
for one of
one of
them,
'em, yeah.
for sure, and potentially rough waters ahead 2 weeks. But that's just how it's going to get from here on
Right.
out, right?
Yep,
I mean,
that's what I mean.
you're pointed into the storm, so to speak, from here on out.
Yeah.
You guys have, and I know we got a lot to get through, so I just want to throw this out quick. Any thoughts? Maybe you don't. Any thoughts on if you kind of miss? Because I see a lot of people saying they miss this. I was a guy that early in my coaching career and post high school, I went to a game every single Friday and Saturday. I would just pick one and go. It's the pageantry in that. You miss Saturday games at all, or don't you think it's that big a deal?
I would love it because we could cover more.
Yeah.
Personally,
I would
you know,
too.
just
But I like it on Friday.
Uh-huh.
there's something about Friday night.
It's just Friday.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
I just think it makes it better being on Friday. Now we can't cover as many games, but the feeling of Friday, I don't Saturday's college football.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I-
Mhm.
There's a cadence too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't know that coaches love it. You can speak of this,
Mhm.
but playing on Saturday, what do you do?
Yeah.
How do you get the kids prepared to play at 7 o'clock when you're not at school? They're not
Wow.
getting up. They're sitting around all day. I think
Yeah.
it's a concern for the coaches. And I think if you poll the coaches, and I think the OHSA maybe did here in this situation and did listen to the coaches in this instance, but I think they want it on Friday.
Mhm.
I think if the most of the coaches would say we'd rather play on
Mhm.
Friday than Saturday.
Mhm. I can tell you this in a nutshell, as a coach, and it usually would alternate every other year. And when the schedule came out, the calendar, the first thing you did and you looked to see when your division played, and you prayed it was Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
So
of the cadence.
I agree. Yeah, you
Yep.
just want it to be Friday, and
As fans and media people, we'd like to
Yeah.
cover more games and get to more games.
right.
It's more about
Yeah.
the
About the
players and the
kids.
coaches and the teams. They should decide on that, not
They should.
Joe Schmo over here. Oh, I want to go to a Saturday game. Now I can't go to well, too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not getting to go to a Saturday
Go watch
game.
BG.
Yeah, my senior year in the state semis, we played at Lima Stadium against a great St. Henry team with Tommy Hoying and those guys, and that was a Saturday game.
Yeah.
And so it was a long day, boys. And
Yeah.
Rex Lingering we did some things, but that was a long day, and you were tired by,
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
Fridays I like them.
Yeah, let's take a break here from our title sponsor, the Gerken Companies. We'll come back and break down the regional quarterfinals for our area teams.
Hard-working individuals have been the heart of the Gerken companies for generations. Together, we construct the highways and infrastructure that strengthen our communities. Gerken is seeking rock-solid performers. We offer generous benefits, continuous training, top-notch equipment, and a culture that rewards effort. Want to be part of something big, steady, and stable with room to grow? Whether you're experienced or just starting your career, we encourage you to apply at gerkencompanies.com/careers.
Thank you to the Gerken Companies for being the title sponsor of our podcast this season. Also going to be the title sponsor of our basketball podcast and gamecast. Those will be coming up less than a month until we get rolling with basketball season. We'll see if we're still in football mode. We may be in some state finals at that point, but we'll see.
I have so much admiration for Paul Keels, the voice of the Buckeyes. Because he'll do a Buckeye game on Saturday, and turn around on Sunday and do an Ohio State men's basketball game.
Well, I think he's doing one tonight. Don't the Buckeyes
They
play
do.
tonight?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Against a good, is it Texas? No. It's a big time.
Or maybe
team.
it's Wednesday. It's sometime this week. We're
No,
recording
no.
this on Monday, but
I got
it.
It may be tonight. Now that you say that, I think it may be tonight.
I think it may be. But
and so and he's so fluid.
yeah,
He goes from talking about the formation of the football play to is that tonight?
Tonight at Texas.
At Texas. Okay,
Yep.
I knew it was a big one, but
That starts at 10 to tip off. So
I won't see it.
yeah,
But it's so you just respect those guys. Dave Kleck, has done it forever.
Yeah.
But it takes
yeah. You got
not
to wear
easy
off
to
the,
switch gears.
You wear off
Oh,
that
yeah.
rust a little bit when you
Yeah,
switch
you do.
sports. I always think it's just hard to get used to
It is.
different aspects of things. But the pros can do it.
Yeah,
We're not there.
No, we're not there. We're I don't even know if we're apprentices yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Braden Martin had a good week. First week of the playoffs, 31-4. He took over the lead in the pick'ems after week 1. I was 29-5. Neil Schuller, 29-6. Tory Strock, not so hot, my friend, 28-6.
Yeah, that's good. I'll take that. Playoffs are tough, man.
It is. It is. Especially when you're looking at those 8-9s. We had how many games last week? We're like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to pick this, and it could go just the opposite of
Yeah.
that. And guess what? in 6 cases respectively.
Yeah.
Coach Strock.
Yeah.
You and I fumbled, if you will.
Yeah, that's all right. That happens.
Overall standings, if we're going to add the regular season and postseason, Tory Strock, 315 and 58, winning percentage of 845. I am now one back of you, 314 and 59. Braden Martin also one game back. He's creeping up on us here, 320 and 65. And then Neil Schuller, still in this. He's 7 back.
On the move.
He just can't get over that 7-8 game
Yeah.
back hump.
Yeah.
Well,
309 and 66. He's got a winning percentage of 824.
think
It's
back.
pretty darn good.
Think back. And we gave him a chance. He took Van Buren over Lipsick.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I do
way
remember
back
that.
when.
I do remember that.
Week 1 was the backbreaker, boys.
Give me a couple from that one.
Yeah, I think you
I
were
don't even-
13,
I-
lost 13 week
Yeah.
1.
Oh,
Week 1 was the it was a digging of a hole that
They're
we've been
still
trying
digging.
to climb out of ever since.
Yeah.
well, some of those weren't necessarily your. If you picked Defiance, I don't know who you picked in the Defiance Napoleon game.
I think I picked Napoleon.
Okay, I was going to say Defiance had an extra point to win it.
Yeah.
And so that would have been. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Braden Martin, he's no dummy, is he?
No, he's
Nah.
not. No, he's not.
He's no dummy.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah, he does.
We're going to start in Division 1, Region 1 this week, guys. Lakewood St. Ed, 6-5, 27.7 points per game, giving up 19.3. Strength of schedule in all of Division 1 is number 2. They are at Whitmer, who is 9-2, 39.3 points per game, giving up 12.6 points per game. Their strength of schedule is 47. St. Ed's 3-0 all time against Whitmer. They won 44-27 in 2001, 68-14 in 2002. Last met in the 2010 state semifinals, won 23-13 by the Eagles. St. Ed's, the 3-time defending state champion after winning their 7th title last year. All titles have come since 2010. The Eagles are 66-22 all time in the playoffs. So a program juggernaut, or a playoff juggernaut, I should say, and have had major playoff success here in the last couple decades. Whitmer coming in, 1,459 rushing yards, thrown for 2,212 passing yards this season. Total yardage 3,671, given up 2,608 this season, led by that outstanding senior quarterback Brady Ford, Carter Lowe, the left tackle. It's going to Ohio State, but this is a little bit different animal this week that they're going to see in a St. Edward's program that held. What did they hold Finley to? 60
0.
yards or
It was something ridiculous.
total a week ago.
Yeah. And Lynn, you're exactly right. St. Ed's, you mentioned since 2010, just cut above. That's how we could best describe the St. Ed's Eagles. They're as complete of a program as anywhere in the state of Ohio. Their record shows for it. Maybe not the St. Ed's record that we would expect, but look at the schedule that they played. So their losses have been to Boyle County, Kentucky, who's 10-0, a national type team. Massillon, Washington, 9-2. Glenville by 1 point, who is 8-3. Archbishop Moeller, 10-1 team there. They lost by 5, and then Bishop Hoban lost by 3. So even though they've got 5 losses on the year, all of them within a score, and all of them against top-ranked opponents. Whitmer, you mentioned the stats just a moment ago, and a team that's hitting stride here, really from the midway point going forward, but probably the toughest test that they will face is this coming Friday at Whitmer Memorial Stadium. So St. Ed's coming into the jungle. It'll be a packed atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to it.
Is that where you're going to be
I
this
will
week?
be at that game. Yeah, that is my game for this week.
So,
Already got my sideline pass and ready to rock and roll.
The casual fan looks at this matchup and says, "Well, St. Ed's was 5-5 at the end of the regular season. Now 6-5. I like Whitmer because of that." Well, are we going to start picking now? We good to go?
we can.
Yeah.
Brady Ford,
Okay, go ahead.
114 and 195. He is just 48 yards short of 2,000 for the season, 21 touchdowns. They've ran the ball behind Jaden Jones and Jamon Holmes. Jaden Jones, 570 yards. Holmes has 39 yards. Jones, 8 TDs. Holmes, 6 touchdowns. Joey Morales actually leads them in rushing touchdowns with 9. And then Isaiah Hayward has been a big play
Mhm.
receiver for him. 40 catches, 639 yards. TJ Hutchin, he has 734 yards receiving and 8 scores to lead the team there. You want to go first? You want me to
I
go?
mean, keep in mind too, there Morales missed 3 to 4
That's
weeks in
right.
the
He did.
season.
He
So
did. This isn't the same St. Edwards team that had all the Division One dudes that Central
yeah,
played a couple years
that
ago.
correct.
They
So
had a defensive end, and I can't remember where he went. Maybe he
went to
go to
Northwestern. Michael
Northwestern.
Kilbane was
Yes.
the
Oh,
young man's name, and he's a starter for the
he's a
Northwestern
bad
Wildcats right
dude.
now. But you look at their offensive line, two twins that are at Ohio State now from a year ago. I'm talking about
Yeah,
the St. Ed's team a
they
year ago.
lost a lot.
Yeah, two twins that are Ohio State, another left tackle who is at Michigan right now. So you got 3 out of the 5 starting O linemen for the St. Ed's Eagles last year are on Big Ten football teams this fall. So they have lost a lot, but man, they got a lot in the tank as well.
They reload there at St. Ed's. They reload, and I like them. I like them by 10 to 14. No, that's no slight. They're a different animal, and Whitmer playing in the Buckeye division. They just have not seen week in and week out what St. Ed's has seen. And I just think St. Ed's is battle tested. I am really anxious to see if Whitmer there in the third quarter, mid third quarter, do they have a chance? I like St. Ed's to just grind this one out though.
Yeah, St. Ed's is just too much muscle.
Yeah.
Too much in this matchup for Whitmer. They saw Central. That's the only team that's comparable what they're going to see
Yep.
on Friday night.
Yep.
But even this is, I think, is a different type team this season
Yep.
than what maybe Central is.
Yep.
But yeah, I got
Mhm.
I got to take St. Ed's in this matchup. Also, Division One, Region One, 11 seed Berea Mid Park is at 3 seed Perrysburg. Berea Mid Park 4-7, 26.4 points per game, giving up 29.7. Their strength of schedule pretty good. It's 11th. Perrysburg scoring 34.9 points per game, giving up just 10.3 under Mike Ward. Their strength of schedule a little bit further down, kind of midway point of Division One, or maybe even the bottom third at 51. First matchup ever between these two teams in the playoff era. Perrysburg 2,313 yards rushing this season. They've only given up 885 passing yards for the Jackets, 1,304, given up 1,145. They've turned it over 13 times, but they forced 16. Josh Tackett's leading that passing game over 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. And the rushing attack is kind of a committee there with Nico Wakalski, 128 carries, 712 yards, 7 TDs. Josh Tackett's 118 carries, 666 yards, 8 TDs. And then Joe Senni has been their touchdown maker this season for the Jackets. He has a ton of them. He's led them there. Receiving, Dominic Woods is leading them, 36 catches, 545 yards, 4 touchdowns. For Berea Mid Park in their win a week ago, their quarterback Danny Bowser threw for 253 yards and 2 TDs while running for 125 yards on 11 keepers against Olmsted Falls. Like this matchup for Perrysburg.
I do, and the one thing that I have trouble getting past here is Mid Park lost 7 straight football games from week 2 to 8. 7 straight. Now, for reference, I don't want to dig too deep here for reference. One of their losses was a 36-35 setback, 36-35 to Avon Lake, who's a team that St. Francis just knocked off in a close one.
Correct.
So just, I guess, for reference.
Yeah, and the league that Berea Mid Park plays in is no slouch of a league. I think we would certainly compare it to the Buckeye division of the NLL here locally. You know, you got Avon Lake and Amherst, Avon, North Ridgeville, Olmsted Falls, names that you hear, they're perennial playoff contenders, or at least in the hunt. So, but to your point, Coach, to get past losing 7 in a row. Now, they did beat a Lorraine team last week that is 9-2 at the same point as where Perrysburg comes into this contest as. And Perrysburg, while complete and as dangerous as any team in the area when they're hitting on all cylinders, especially with the balance that Tackets can bring to the passing game and the run game, if they can play a complete game, they're as dangerous as anybody, as I just said. But we've also seen them falter in that Whitmer game, in the Anthony Wayne game. Now, that's no disrespect to Anthony Wayne. They're obviously rolling, but which Perrysburg team is going to show up to this game? I believe that Dirk Connor will have them ready to go. It's playoff time. They're at home for the last time, and that is a heck of a home atmosphere at Steinecker Stadium. Give me the Yellow Jackets to get the win on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Perrysburg too, but I'm going to say this. I think it's going to be close. I really do. I think it's going to be less than 2 scores. I just Perrysburg's my pick, but I think Mid Park they've played some good football teams. Come up short, but they've played, predominantly, with the exception of one game, all Division 1 and 2 opponents.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be in shock there.
What they're going to see at Perrysburg is what they call Friday night.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm gonna take the Jackets too. I think I'm like you guys. I think it'll be closer maybe than what some people expect with the seeding here, but they won't come in shell shocked or anything like that. Anything like that.
Mm-mm.
Rest of the Division 1, Region 1 bracket, Mentor, the top seed. They're hosting Strongsville this week. Massillon Jackson on the other side of the bracket. They are the 4 seed. They will host 5 seed Canton McKinley. And then the aforementioned 2 games that our local teams are playing. Whitmer hosting St. Ed's, and then Berea Mid Park going to Perrysburg. Let's take our break. We'll come back and talk about Division 2. Ready to hit the links? Grab your clubs and head to White Pines Golf Course at 1640 County Road 2 in Swanton. For a tee time or to sign up for their events, call 419-875-5535 or visit whitepinesgc.com. Also, sign up for their early membership of $885 or $796.50 for seniors 55 and older. Early membership is play now, and greens fees are covered for the rest of 2024 and all of 2025. When you play White Pines Golf Course, the experience will exceed your expectations. Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gerken Companies. Tune in Saturday morning for Rise and Rewind presented by White Pines Golf Course back at 8 a.m. Coach Strock, is that what we're shooting for this week?
Let's go 8 a.m. I've got a busy week. The BG plays tomorrow night. Got some things going on Wednesday, family-wise, and then the BG doesn't play again until next Tuesday. So I like 8 a.m. Saturday.
Okay, sounds good. Tune in on our Gamecast link and our Rise and Rewind link. You can listen to our recaps of Friday night action. We'll see how far Rise and Rewind goes. As long as we have ample teams still alive, we'll do our Saturday morning show, but we'll keep you updated to see how many more Saturday mornings we will be here. Division 2, Region 6, guys. 10 seed St. Francis coming off that victory at Avon Lake last week. They will go to number 2 seed Medina Highland this week. Josh Linke's group, 8-3, 32.3 points per game, giving up 25 points per game. Their strength of schedule is 64. The Hornets, 11-0, 45.4 points per game, giving up just 6.5. Strength of schedule, the experts don't like Highland's strength of schedule too well. 72. First time these two teams have ever met in the playoff era. How about the year Eli Beal is having for St. Francis? 28 touchdowns. He is 200 yards away from 2,000 on the season. 25 of those 28 touchdowns are on the ground. Corey Schwartz, he has 19 TDs, 62 rushes, 280 yards, 5 touchdowns on the ground. Passing, he's 120, 178, 1,758 yards, 14 TDs. Raheem Brown, 30 carries, 184 yards. He's also got 44 catches, 780 yards, 8 touchdowns. Eli Beal also factors into the passing game. 19 catches this season, 232 yards, 4 TDs. Drew Tucker has 32 catches this season, 285 yards, 4 touchdowns. Tackle-wise on the defensive side for St. Francis, Bo Thomas leading them with 88. Von Graham has 67. Jermaine Polk, remember that name, 71 stops, 6 sacks, 2 deflections, 1 interceptions. Raheem Brown also a menace on defense. He has 6 interceptions this season, as they will play a rugged, tough, physical, mean Medina Highland squad this week.
All that true, Len. you mentioned the strength of schedule component. Out of their 10 weeks, 6 of their wins in 10 weeks against teams with losing records. Just want to put that out there so people understand what we're talking about here. St. Francis, a magical season for the Knights. I don't think you can express it any way when you look at where they have been the last 3 years. Heading into a buzzsaw this week at Medina Highland. Go back, and if you want to see a highlight that I think should be put up in every single film room, look at Raheem Brown. I'm going to mention his name last week at Ron Lake. Got there was a pass, a wide open pass. This guy was 15 yards behind everybody. Raheem tracks him down at the 1 yard line, punches the ball out, recovers it himself for a touchback, saves a touchdown, and gets the ball back in St. Francis's hand. A phenomenal effort and probably one of the best individual plays I've seen all season was Raheem Brown. You mentioned Eli Beal, just a junior, by the way. So Eli's got a whole other season to talk about him coming back. But St. Francis has a lot of belief. They're hitting on the right cylinders at the right time, coming into a Medina Highland team that is just absolutely rolling. I think that this is going to be a tough task ahead of the Knights. Do I think that they have a shot at this game? I absolutely do. This is a St. Francis team that was tied up with Central Catholic at the end of 3 quarters in the regular season. That said, I think Medina is going to be a little bit too much for the Knights, and this fantastic season, a program turnaround season, I think unfortunately comes to an end for the Knights this Friday night.
Yeah, when I look at St. Francis in this matchup, let your hair down and let it fly. You're playing for my money. They're playing with house money right now.
No doubt.
But the program has turned. Now, I know it's not good enough. The players aren't satisfied, and I guarantee the coaches aren't satisfied. But at the end of the day, when you look at the big picture, they're playing with house money. Everything from here on out's gravy. So play loose, let it rip, right? Maybe take a few chances. And I think they're going to hang in there and trade scores maybe a couple times, and then Highland just tacks on another one, and maybe St. Francis can't answer it. So a 7-point game maybe becomes a 14, 21-point game, and they just can't close the gap. I want to be wrong here. I'm rooting for the Knights, but got to take Medina Highland.
Not so fast. Both of you. Highland hasn't seen this kind of speed all season. Give me Josh Linke and the Knights continue the magic.
That's a gutsy pick, Grolly.
I love it, though. I love it.
Highland hasn't seen Eli Beal.
I'll tell you what, I hope you're right for the Knights, man.
Raheem Brown.
No, they haven't.
If
we're going to see
St. Francis doesn't make a ton of mistakes, plays one of their better games, St. Francis moves on.
Got to step up on defense against this Highland team that's averaging about, quick math tells me about 45 a game.
45.4.
Okay. Bo Thomas, my man, Bo Thomas, if you're listening.
You're going to have to bring it. Jermaine Polk.
Get on it, Jermaine. You're going to have to get some penetration. Boys, you're going to have to.
There's something special on Bancroft going on.
Yeah.
If they win this game.
Okay.
Tight. Maybe you have to kick a field goal to win.
On the road.
Maybe when Josh Linke was at Toledo Central Catholic, they played Medina Highland at Bellevue. Stormed back from 2 scores down, kicked a field goal at the buzzer.
I remember that.
Got that same feel for me.
Okay.
We'll see. I might be wrong.
Right.
I might just be a prisoner of the moment and just excited for what Coach Linke's done and what the Knights have rolling this season. I think they're going to just drum up some magic and pull this one out.
All those things could be true. Prisoner of the moment and all those things. But I respect the fact you had the courage to take that risk. As much as I think St. Francis is magical right now, I wouldn't have enough faith to pull the trigger on that. You did, and I respect it.
Yep.
And I'd actually like to see you be right, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I'm down 7. What do I?
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
I want to see St. Francis go there play one of their better games and
Yeah.
see what happens.
Let it rip,
I think
man.
if that happens, I think they have a chance in this one.
Let it rip.
Yeah.
Nothing to lose, right?
Yeah, nothing at this point.
Also in Division 2, Region 6, 11 seed Sandusky coming off that victory over Clay last week. Blue Streak 7-4, 24.3 points per game, giving up 18.6, strength of schedule of 36. They will be at Schuller Stadium where they will face Anthony Wayne. The Generals 11-0, won the Buckeye Division this season in the NLL. 44 points per game, giving up just 10. Strength of schedule for the Generals 71, led by that great quarterback, the dual threat Grant Kenny is having an outstanding season. 83 of 131 passing, over 1,200 yards, 17 TDs, just 3 interceptions. He's also over 1,000 yards rushing on 125 keepers, 22 touchdowns. Let's have Braden Gardner. He's got kind of lost in the mix with what Grant Kenny's done. He's over approaching 1,000, 844, 10 touchdowns. Drew Carroll, 87 attempts, 415 yards, 6 TDs. Defensive side, Cassius Kruger, 116 stops, 8 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, and Kyle Weimer has 80 tackles, 4 for loss, 6 sacks, and 1 interception. Give me the Generals big. I think the Generals roll at home in this one by 21 plus.
Yep, you got Sandusky coming off of a big win over the Clay Eagles last week, and I hated to see it for Clay, but Sandusky exacts revenge, going back to that Week 1 matchup that Clay took them 38-21. Sandusky wins this one 35-28. So and I say that because you look at two teams here, and Clay and Sandusky, they're built very, very similar. However, the Anthony Wayne Generals are built a little bit different. Lynn, you just ran through all the stats, and that's great, and they're all correct, and they're all earned. The thing about this Anthony Wayne Generals team is how they play together and the synergy they have as a unit, and just their absolute refusal to let one another down. They're destined for something, and Sandusky, this is a bad time for the Blue Streaks to be coming into Schuller Stadium. Give me Anthony Wayne. I agree with you, Lynn. I think by a lot.
Sandusky has some dudes. Watching the highlights from that Clay game, I mean, they've got some size, they've got some dudes that can run, but it's going to come down to execution. Anthony Wayne executes very, very, very well, especially in the ground game. And Anthony Wayne is going to be, they're going to have the screws tightened here. They're going to execute the heck out of it. I think they chew up big rushing yards in this game. Big rushing yards. I like the Generals at home. 12-0. Thinking back to this summer when I was there about half a dozen times. I liked what I saw. Didn't see a ton of size. Thought they looked like kind of a bunch of average Northwest Ohio dudes. And they're going to be 12-0 after this game.
With a ton of momentum.
A ton of momentum. What a job Andy Brungard's done at AW.
Winner of Anthony Wayne Sandusky gets the winner of Medina Highlands St. Francis. How about we get a St. Francis Anthony Wayne game next week?
How cool would that be for Northwest Ohio?
That would be fantastic, and
I'd be there.
Oh, you better believe I would
you like
be.
to host that one?
Oh,
yeah, you better believe it. That would bring the crowd.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Other side of the bracket in Region 6, Avon, the number 1 seed, they will host 8 seed Olmsted Falls this week. 4 seed North Ridgeville will host 5 seed Wadsworth on the other half of the Region 6 bracket. Division 3 got a couple games there in Region 10. Also have some in Region 12. Going to start with 9 seed Richfield Revere. 7-4, 25.1 points per game, giving up 19.9. Strength of schedule of 41. They are at defending champion, 2-time defending state champion, I should say, Toledo Central Catholic, who is the number 1 seed, 10-1, 31.5 points per game, giving up just 13.8. Number 1 strength of schedule in all of Division 1. First time these two teams have ever met. Doesn't take a whole lot of analysis from me. Central will bully Revere in this one. I don't see this one ending well for the team coming in from Northeast Ohio.
Yep, the Revere Minutemen coming from Richfield. If you remember the old Richfield Coliseum back in the Cavs days, back in the Miracle on Richfield and all those, a lot of stuff back here. Sorry, memory lane there. Anyhow, they're gonna have their hands full with Central Catholic. Central Catholic in the playoffs. Coach Dempsey just understands what it takes, has his team ready to go, and takes care of business week in and week out. I think that they roll over Revere.
Well, what would that be? 13 straight playoff win for Central here?
Oh, yes.
6-6-1.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, they're gonna take care of business. They're gonna get the score where they want it. Maybe even get that clock running and get their guys out of there. Get out of there healthy. Move on to week 3. I like Central Catholic big.
I do too. And
Carry
that
streak.
matchup is Neil Schuller's trying to should be 13.
6-12. Yeah, 13 in a row.
Bro, in the playoffs. That's pretty impressive there for the Irish, and maybe well on their way to possible another state title. We'll find out here in the coming weeks, but I don't think they have any trouble coming up this week. How about this matchup? 6-seeded Defiance at number 3 seed Cleveland Benedictine. They're playing this one at Brooklyn Memorial Stadium. Bulldogs 7-4, 25.1 points per game, 17.5 points per game allowed. Strength of schedule of 60. Their strength of schedule kind of in the middle in Division 3. Benedictine 9-2, 33.5 points per game, giving up 11.6. Strength of schedule of 19. The Bengals have a couple of oak trees in their backfield. Chris Maloney, 5'10", 180 senior, set a new school record last week. 386 rushing yards. Previous record was 337 by Raymond Williams in 2002. Chris Maloney, 4th in Division 2 at the state wrestling tournament in March, 175. They also have a guy in the backfield by the name of Jameer Tank Church, 5'9", 205 senior, also plays linebacker for them. Couple of bad dudes that Defiance are going to have to deal with this week. We'll see how the Bulldog defense fares. Bulldogs, Anthony Wilder leading them in rushing, 1,270 yards, 11 TDs on 135 lugs. Noah Gomez, 558 yards on 103 carries. He has 9 TDs. Brady Borton, 22 catches, 409 yards, 5 TDs. Jordan Wright, 315 yards, receiving 2 TDs on 24 grabs. Rez Ziffel, who took over a bunch of their passing records a week ago from the great Joe Williamson. He's 87-157 on the season, over 1,100 yards, 11 TDs. Defiance has forced 15 turnovers this season. The great linebacker Joey Robinson up to 149 tackles. Can the Defiance Bulldogs go on the road? Played a similar game a year ago at Gallagher Stadium against Toledo Central Catholic. Do they have enough?
I thought about this as we were leaving the stadium, Lynn, and yesterday and throughout the weekend and that. Boy, no one has more heart and guts than Defiance. But a couple things that stand out to me when you look at Benedictine's schedule. 2 regular season losses. One of them to the team we talked about in the beginning, that St. Francis, New York team. They lost that 23-17. And then Cuyahoga Falls, Walsh Jesuit is an absolute machine. They beat Benedictine 20-12. And so I look at those and say, how would Defiance match up against those 2 teams? And so Travis Cooper's going to have them prepared. And you know what? Something crazy could happen where it comes down to Defiance is down 1 at the buzzer, and Coop pulls out one of his 2-point plays that he has a whole bag full of. I'm afraid it's not going to get there, though. Benedictine's schedule, to me, says otherwise. As much as I'd like to see the Bulldogs pull it off on the road, I'm going with Benedictine.
You mentioned, Lynn, just a moment ago, that Central Catholic game last year in Defiance, and Defiance giving Central all that they wanted. And talking to Jerry Glanville, of all people, towards the tail end of the season, and he said, it was the toughest game for Central Catholic last year, Defiance. So that tells you what you need to know about the Defiance Bulldogs right there. In a similar position against another Titan in Benedictine. Coach, you stole some of my thunder there, and what you talked about with St. Francis and Walsh Jesuit. I think Benedictine is just cut a little bit different. I agree with you. I don't think that Defiance is going to be close enough in the end. I'm going to take the Benedictine Bengals in this one, and as you said, I hope I'm wrong, but my gut tells me I'm not.
I don't think it's going to be
I'll tell you what's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to be a big score. I don't think it's going
I'll
to be
tell
a
you
big
what's going to
spread.
happen in this game.
No.
You know that kid you're playing on the playground that's 5 inches taller, 30 pounds lighter. Just annoying, though. Can't get rid of him. Never get away from him. Always in your face. Doesn't talk any trash. That's going to be Defiance. If they can limit their mistakes, no turnovers,
Yep.
don't drop the ball, play a perfect game. That Central game a year ago, they gave up 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. It's going to be similar, I'm telling you. Because Cooper and that coaching staff are going to bring their Bulldogs over there. Nobody's going to give them a chance. Travis is going to be talking all week. Oh, everybody thinks you guys don't have a chance. Nobody's going to give you an opportunity. They're going to go over there, just grind the whole night. And if I was a brave guy, I would pick Defiance. Yes. But I think it's going to be tight. Because Benedictine is going to get frustrated.
Yeah.
Because Defiance is just going to keep coming after him. They have this great senior class. This group's going to give Benedictine everything they want. And they won't quit.
No.
And it's going to get to Benedictine. Because they're used to kind of pushing teams around. They're going to think they're going to push this, farm community around from Northwest Ohio. They're not going to. Defiance is just going to play their game. They're going to play discipline. All the minor details, Coach Cooper and that staff will dot the I's, cross the T's. They will do it all. Just don't know that they have enough. Close, like 28-20, something like that. But I'll take Benedictine.
Yeah, they're going to have to play flawless to get there, but it's possible.
Yeah.
If there's a team that can do it, it's Defiance.
Agree.
No question.
Agree.
We've seen them several times over the years.
And then try to explain how they lost 28-0 to Bath.
Right.
Because you're going to hear a score in the second half where it's, 14-10 Benedictine. Well, isn't this the same Defiance team that
Right.
lost to Bath 28-0 and
Right.
lost to Napoleon week 1?
Right.
Some things you just can't explain.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're not going to be able to explain this. It's my input.
Yeah. It could be. I was going to say, 31-21, somewhere in there. It could be 35-14. I also see a scenario where when you see the guys we've seen like Abel Rubio, Joey Robinson, Anthony Wilder, Brez Zippel's a freaking competitor. Noah Gomez.
Yeah.
They've got dudes that just don't care.
They got dogs.
You know what I mean? They got dogs that are willing to sacrifice for their brothers. And I agree, Lynn. It gives them a chance.
And you know who somebody's probably going to give them a pep talk at some point this week?
Coach Beauty.
Yeah.
Oh, Coach Beauty. He always jokes and says, every time I walk in there, those guys are like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
He's so humble. We know, and he knows.
Yeah.
They know who he is.
Yeah. We'll see.
He'd be a good one, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully Defiance can go over there and I think they're going to keep that one tight. Region 12, going down to the southwest part of the state, a couple of WBL teams from our area playing down there. St. Mary's, the 8 seed, they will go to Tip City, Tippecanoe. St. Mary's 9-2, 35 points per game, giving up 18.5. Strength of schedule is 69. Tip City, Tippecanoe 11-0, 42.3 points per game, giving up just 8.5. Strength of schedule pretty good is 20th. St. Mary's 2-0 all time against Tippecanoe. 21-14 victory in the 2006 first round of the playoffs and 21-14 in 2008 in the first round of the playoffs. St. Mary's has 3,680 yards rushing on 603 attempts. That's 6.1 yards per rush. Dominic Osborne leading the way, 1,269 yards, 20 TDs. Colton Mabry, he is inching his way to 1,000. He is 89 away. He has 11 touchdowns. St. Mary's has passed for 239 yards, only thrown 37 all season. The Rough Riders have allowed 3,156 yards. Tippecanoe has a really good quarterback by the name of Larking Thomas. He led the Miami Valley League in passing, 2,482 yards, 36 touchdowns. He was 163 of 238 passing so far. As a receiver, Jackson Davis, over 1,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. Will Strong, another outstanding receiver for them, 33 catches, 511 yards, 5 TDs. And Dylan Herndon, he has 27 snags, 440 yards, 4 TDs. And then Xavier Melton is their running back, 859 yards, 11 TDs on 135 carries. Tough ask for Bo Fry and his crew. Can they get it done in Tip City on Friday night?
In terms of teams that Tippecanoe has played this year, I think St. Mary's matches up well with them. I think that they're going to bring a physicality to this game that will definitely matter. But this Tippecanoe team has been rolling through people throughout the season, and I think at the end of the day, that's going to be a little bit too much for St. Mary's. But I don't think this game's a blowout. Personally, I mean I think it's maybe a 2-score game at the most. But I'm going to go with Tippecanoe.
So I actually changed my mind here as we're sitting here. I jotted down as I was waiting for my parent teacher conferences to start today. I jotted down my teams I liked here, and I originally had St. Mary's, but I've changed my mind. I always have trouble picking against a rugged ground based attack like that. But I don't know that St. Mary's is going to have enough offense to win this football game. Tippecanoes, sometimes you get teams around that Dayton area maybe that just aren't as rugged as, they have good records, but when you want to lock them in a phone booth, they're not as tough. I think this Tippecanoe team's a little different. In a slugfest, I'll take Tip City, Tippecanoe. I'm going to change my pick.
Strength of schedule is pretty good. 20th. Now, if it was,
Yes.
60
Yes.
below, I would have hesitated a little bit more.
That's what turned me.
I like Tippecanoe close. Now, if St. Mary's can get a couple score lead and control the clock, I like them in this one, but I'm gonna take Tippecanoe. Also from the Western Buckeye League this week, Wapakoneta, they are at home. They will host 10 seed Wilmington. The Redskins are the 2 seed. Wilmington 7-4, 35.1 points per game, giving up 18.9. Strength of schedule of 30. Walpock 11-0. 36.5 points per game, giving up 16.5. Their strength of schedule 81. Second time that these two programs have met. Walpock beat Wilmington 28-14 2 years ago in the first round of the playoffs. For Wilmington, Jake Stevens, he has 2,114 yards passing. Josiah Puller, 812 yards rushing. Malachi Cumberland, dude's got 14 sacks for Wilmington this season. So Caleb Moyer, watch your backside. Bryson Shuddy, he has 131 tackles. Jesse Keith, 115 tackles. Luke Ackerman, 112 tackles. So pretty impressive defensive stats for Wilmington. Caleb Moyer, Walpock's quarterback, still no interceptions this season. Thrown 21 TDs, 155 of 194.
That's
pretty darn efficient. 2,359 yards. Caden Page is his star receiver, 79 catches, 1,176 yards. Garrett Mullen, 86 carries, 738 yards, 11 TDs. Moyer also has 685 yards and 21 touchdowns this season on keepers running the ball. So he is a big-time dual threat as just a junior there for Coach Moyer. Walpock's defense, 20 sacks, 13 interceptions, 7 fumble recoveries. They also have Grant Hauser, who is going to Louisville. Their outstanding tight end, doesn't get the ball a lot, but boy, he's a outstanding player down there for Walpock too, and I think they're going to move on in this matchup against Wilmington.
Yep, you look at this Wilmington team. And we talk about other teams that like this. Won the games that they should, lost the games that maybe they should have. So there's nothing on the regular season schedule that jumps out. That said, week 7 they lost to 8-3 Batavia, 21-28, only to avenge that loss last week, 37-34. So they won their last 4 in a row. Have they improved down the stretch? Are they hitting stride at the right time? Perhaps the case. However, they're going up against a Wapakoneta team that has just got it done for 11 straight weeks and are going to get it done for a 12th straight week. Give me Walpock.
Yep, I like Walpock's. Too soon in the tournament to pick against them.
Yep.
They don't lose very often in these early rounds. They're going to eventually stumble, but it ain't going to be this week. I look for them to roll in this game.
I do too. Going through the Division 3 brackets that include our area team is going to start in Region 10. Central Catholic, the 1 seed, they're hosting Revere. In the bottom half of that bracket is Rocky River. They're the 4 seed. They will host Lexington, who knocked off Maumee last week. Defiance Benedictine in the bottom half in the 6-3 matchup, and then the 2-7 matchup. Medina Buckeye is hosting Ottawa Franciscan this week. Guys, let's move it to Division 4. where Napoleon, they will go to Bay Village Bay as the 13 seed. The Wildcats 6-5, 30.1 points per game, 20.8 points per game allowed. Strength of schedule is 7 for Napoleon. So they've played a very tough schedule so far this season. The Rockets 7-4, 22.3 points per game, giving up 17 per game. Their strength of schedule 14. So they've played a pretty good schedule as well. Have the Rockets. Insight, Coach Strock, that maybe you've heard from the Napoleon folks early in the week?
Well, I think this. I think on paper this is a much tougher assignment for Napoleon
Than last week.
than last week. I think you're going to out of Bay Village. You're going to have much more want to. You're going to have a little more physicality. It just Clearview just they wanted no part of even almost playing last week, and they were caught off guard by Napoleon's passing attack. That's one of the beautiful things about the playoffs when you play teams that don't know you. Even though we know Trey Rubenstein and Parker Woods and Owen Espinoza and those guys real well, they were clueless. I mean, Clearview'd never heard of them. You know what I mean? And so Bay Village, they've got some good film to see, especially Napoleon's passing game. I'll be curious to see if Bay Village makes Napoleon run the ball. Napoleon's shown they can throw it, but can they run it consistently for 4 quarters? When they do, they're hard to beat when they're balanced. It's not going to be easy, but I like Napoleon in this. I think Napoleon's the better football team than Bay Village. I really do. And I like Napoleon to go on the road and win this game. I can't have one of those games where, like a Fremont Ross game. That's the one that kind of stands out. Bowling Green, where they didn't even show up physically. If they avoid that, and we see the Napoleon team we saw week 1, the Napoleon team that showed up last week, I think Napoleon's a better football team. I'm going with Napoleon.
They need to come into Bay Village with the physicality that they brought right across the street here to Rexlinger Stadium against Liberty Center, that they were tied up at halftime. Is that correct?
They were up 1, I think.
Up 1, right?
6.
Physical. They've shown it. They flashed it, Coach. You mentioned it. Week 1, the Liberty Center game for at least that first half last week. They've also shown the complete opposite. So Napoleon needs to come in confident, limit mistakes, play their game, the balanced attack. George Eggers running the ball that sets up Trey Rubenstein and others. Let Owen Espinoza distribute the ball, control the clock. If they do, I like Napoleon in this matchup. I think that they can win. I think this is a close game. You look at Bay Village. They're susceptible looking at their record, and I think Napoleon. I'm going to take Napoleon to get it done, but this is going to be a tight affair, I believe.
I'll take Napoleon if they come to play, like you said.
Yeah.
There's been some instances this season where what we
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
I know.
Well, the thing is, if they come to play, this is still like a
Yeah, it's still
one-score game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you look at Clearview's schedule, they played a bunch of smaller schools. You know what I mean? So they didn't Bay Village plays schools their size or bigger.
Correct.
Yes.
So it's different.
Well, you mentioned Rocky River at the bottom half of that Division III bracket.
Yeah.
That was their Week 10 win over Rocky River, 35-21, who's a division ahead of them.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
They play some heavyweight ball.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the Wildcats though. I think they're gonna sneak by the Rockets this week in that matchup. Also in Division 4, Region 14, out of Glandorf, the 10 seed. They have the Whippets of Shelby on the road. Ken Shriners Titans 6-5, 22.8 points per game, giving up 19.5, strength of schedule of 29. Shelby is 11-0, 38.6 points per game, giving up 13.5, strength of schedule of 62. As we mentioned on this podcast before, Shelby has the great Braden DeVito, 3,101 yards passing already, 28 touchdowns, over 1,100 yards rushing, 22 touchdowns. OG allowing 123.5 passing yards per game and 134.9 rushing yards per game. So their defense has played pretty well. OG offense, and that's 128.4 yards passing per game and 147.6 yards rushing. Jaden Steckschulte leads the OG defense with 114 stops. But Shelby, Braden DeVito, they just have too much. I don't think OG is going to be able to keep up in the scoring department in this one. So give me the Whippets in this one. OG is going to have to score. They may have to get into the 40s.
So how about Braden DeVito last week? How many different ways can you score in a football game? Okay. Braden DeVito threw for 206 yards, 2 scores, ran for 130 yards and 2 scores, caught a touchdown, and picked off 2 passes on defense, returning one of those 2 to the end zone for a pick 6. Braden DeVito.
Complete.
That's pretty good. No relation to
Danny.
No relation.
Are you sure?
I think.
Okay. All right.
I think.
Making sure.
You look at Ottawa Glandorf's schedule, 2 teams that they played this year that I would say are cut from the same type of cloth as Shelby, and that is Liberty Benton and Wapak. They lost both of those games mightily. Going to Shelby, this is going to be a tall order for Ottawa Glandorf. I think this one can get and will get out of hand. I think Braden DeVito will have another big night. Give me the Whippets in a roll of OG.
So a common opponent, they, played Elida,
Mhm.
right? That's who Shelby beat last week. Beat Elida 49-21. They gave up 21 to Elida. Okay. Ottawa Glandorf gave up 7 to Elida. Now, we don't know how many of those 21 came, what was the score? Was it 49-7? I don't know. But anyway, that's a common opponent. OG beat Elida 28-7, 49-21. I agree. I like Shelby. They're more complete. They've been more consistent. But if there's one thing I know about Ken Schreiner and the kids from Putnam County and Ottawa and Glandorf, don't be a bit surprised if this game is 14-14 at the end of 3 and everybody's going, whoa. Kind of like Defiance and Benedictine.
Yep.
OG, they just have made a living doing this over the years under Ken Schreiner. And I think it's going to be tighter than people think, and it could be tied up at the end of 3. Just we'll see.
Yeah. I very well believe that could be the case. Did I forget to give Region 20 or Region 12, Division 3, the rest of that bracket? Tippecanoe is hosting St. Mary's, bottom half. The 4th seed London is hosting 12 seed Chaminade. Julian Walpock is hosting Wilmington, as I said, and then Bellbrook, who is the 3 seed, they will host 6 seed Cincinnati McNicholas on Friday night. That is Division 3, Region 12. Forgive me, I forgot to mention that when we were going through the Division 3 teams from this area. Division 4, Region 14, Vermilion, the 8 seed, playing at 1 seed Sandusky Perkins. Napoleon goes to Bay Village Bay in the 13-5 matchup. Shelby hosting OG in the 2-10 matchup, and then the bottom half on that side of the bracket, Ontario, the 3 seed, they will host Clyde, who knocked off Otsego a week ago. Going to come back and talk Division 5 after this break from American Freedom Energy. American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store off Route 24 on State Route 109, just south of Liberty Center, now has 88 unleaded fuel and is your one-stop shop for fuel, food, drinks, and much, much more, including locally raised meats and home-baked goods. American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store is proud to support Black Swamp Football and is the host of the Black Swamp Football podcast, football show, and Saturday mornings Rise and Rewind. Stop in and see Glenn and Greg today and make American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store a part of your everyday routine. Thank you to American Freedom Energy, the host of our podcast each week, and also Rise and Rewind. Get on out here and get some of their Freedom Fuel, folks.
Oh,
new coffee blend.
It's good. I had some
Special
this evening.
grounds.
Really good.
Boy, there was a lineup for it on Saturday morning during Rise and Rewind. I couldn't get my hands on any, and then pot was gone and had to rebrew it, and by then it was too late, and I had to get back on the air. And
that's good stuff. It's a special blend for Grandma's General Store, American Freedom Energy. Special for them. Can't get it anywhere else.
Like a bushel bag. They got a bag of it out there. Geez, oh, Pete.
Well, it's good. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's impressive. Yeah. I like it. Division 5, Region 18 right here in Liberty Center on Friday night. One more home game for the Tigers this season. Millie's Cafe from Ottoville will be here starting at 4:30, and I would encourage you, if you want some wings, award-winning wings from Millie's, to get here early because they go fast. They may have to bring a few more this time.
Yeah, they sell out quick, man.
Yeah, I don't know. They usually before kickoff they are out. So if you want some, you might want to get here early. The weather is going to be nice. I would encourage you to stop on out here to American Freedom Energy, Liberty Benton fans. Stop on in. It's got to pass it to get to the stadium, or you can park here and walk over to the stadium. It's not that far.
Yeah, Liberty Benton fans are no stranger to tournament trails, regardless of sport.
Some
Absolutely.
of the LB fans have hit Millie's before.
Oh,
I'm sure they know all about it. So
Yeah.
stop in here on Friday night and get you some wings. Series tied between LB and Liberty Center. LB won 16-7 in the 2012 first round. LC beat the Eagles 41-7 in the second round of the 2022 playoffs just a couple years ago. They're going to rematch here on Friday night for a shot at the regional semifinals, and the Region 18 semifinals should be very entertaining.
Electric.
Yeah. LC has outgained their opponents this season 4,291 to 1,671, including, here's the rushing stats for LC and their opponents, 3,368 to 758. LC has ran the ball 361 times. Their opponents have ran the ball 271. Waylon Rentz leading the way, 1,161 yards, 20 TDs. Thomas Moeller, 714 yards on the ground, half a dozen touchdowns. Garrison Cruz, sensational sophomore, 462 yards, 10 TDs. He also has 341 yards receiving. Waylon Rentz leading that LC defense, 81 tackles, 15 of those for loss. And Xander Zeider has 54 stops, 3 sacks. 19 tackles behind the line. That Liberty Benton offense, they like to get it out quick. Seth Elkert, he can get over the top on you. Can the Eagles come in here to Liberty Center and have enough physicality to hang around?
Yes. Yes. Liberty Benton hangs around in this game. They hang around in this game. They're going to have to be balanced as heck offensively. And
Can they run the ball, though?
They're going to have trouble running the ball, but they're going to have to incorporate runs to keep Liberty off balance. What Liberty Center is going to do, though, they're going to bump Seth Elkert at the line. They're going to have safety help, but they're not going to let him beat him. Period. Okay, and so you take him out, you take out a big chunk of Liberty Benton's offense, but they're going to find a way to get him the ball on some slip screens. Think Patrick Henry going for 2 with Kiefer Holloway, some stuff like that. Here's the thing about Seth Elkert. Liberty Center hasn't seen this all year. He gets a crack about 8 inches wide and gets 1 step, he's gone. He'll be the fastest kid on the field Friday night. Can he get that crack? And can he get a step? We'll see. But they're going to have to get it out quick. They're going to have trouble protecting against that ferocious Liberty defense. I think Liberty Benton hangs around. I don't think they get run out of the stadium.
Is this a Patrick Henry-esque type game?
Yes. I don't know that their defense is.
I don't know. I don't. Liberty Benton's defense not even close to Patrick. I would disagree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not as gritty as Patrick Henry's defense. Liberty Benton has as much or more talent than Patrick Henry has
Offensively.
Yeah, my concern would be, how is LB going to hold up to the physicality of Liberty Center? Because what I witnessed against Columbus Grove, that wasn't
bad.
good.
That was bad,
and it's not going to be any different.
It could be, yeah.
Is my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think if Liberty Benton doesn't handle the physicality here as well as they did in that week, was that week 2 game?
Yep.
It's going to be a long night.
Yeah,
because they won't stop Liberty Center once.
Yeah. No, and I'm curious. Now, Liberty Benton's going to have to score. I mean, they're going to have to score 35 to win this game. They're going to have to score 35. And scoring 35 against Liberty Center is hard to do.
Well, if you go back to that Grove game, week 2, they scored 14. They lost 42-14 to Grove. Week
they
2.
Scored their opening possession, and then after that, they didn't do much of anything.
Right.
So if they got to score 35 against Liberty, and we're saying, Liberty Grove, at least in this conversation.
And 7 of those were late. 7 of
Tall
those were
order.
late.
They were. Yep. Yeah, Liberty Center at home, they're too rugged. Now, Liberty Benton, I'm telling you, they're well coached. Scott Garlock, I'm telling you, that coaching staff is as good as any. They're going to have some plays schemed up. The guys got to the ball. They got to protect. Ball's got to be delivered. It's got to be caught. But they're going to have some plays schemed up that are going to be home run plays that are going to hit. That's my prediction. Be wrong. I just don't know. You can't hang your hat on those big plays against Liberty Center. I like Liberty somewhere in the neighborhood of 35-14. But Liberty Benton, if they can stand up to the physicality and be there in the second half, they got enough offense to make it a game. But Tigers just too rugged, too gritty, too nasty at home.
Yeah, I like LC 21 plus. I think it's
42-14.
similar.
Yeah.
42-14.
Yep, I think it's that type of
Yeah.
game as well. I like LC and sets up for what could be a heck of a game in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and here's the thing. I
Well,
say
next week.
Yeah, I'm sorry, next week.
Well, I say a lot of what I say. My knowledge of Scott Garlock and his coaching ability and things like that. Here's the thing: when you get hit in the mouth a couple times, okay, and you're on the Liberty Benton defense, and Waylon Rentz has just lowered his shoulder into you about 4 straight plays. I don't care how smart your head coach is.
Yeah,
You know what I
you're
mean?
right.
Well, what about when they're doing those short passes and Cam
Oh.
Conley starts sticking his nose in there?
There you go. There you go.
Just saying.
Yeah, and so is Liberty Benton going to have an answer, right? Or are they going to have a bubble go where they, their execution is going to have to be nearly perfect
Mhm.
because Liberty's they don't leave you very big windows, so you got to be fine. You got to be really on your game to have a chance. And I just like them.
I would say probably the best passing game that Liberty has seen all year.
Yeah, for sure.
Better than Napoleon.
Better than PH.
Yes.
Yeah, PH doesn't have a
yeah.
great passing game. They're more of a running attack. Yeah, so I would.
Yeah.
Going to go through their schedule.
Yeah,
I
no,
think easily it'd be the toughest passing attack they've faced
I agree.
by far.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. Napoleon's got some really nice passing concepts, though.
Yeah,
They really do. They've got some nice
Mhm.
concepts with some
Absolutely.
crossing routes and some things they do with Rubenstein and Woods and some flood concepts and that. But Liberty Benton is, they're a little more diverse. I mean, they can really spread the ball, and they got some big targets. They got a couple guys that'll be matchup problems, but I just think Seth Elkert, he's going to be challenged. They're going to
I agree.
bang
I
him
agree.
around.
Also, Region 18, Eastwood, the 5 seed, 10-1. They are at Creston Norwayne, who is also 10-1. Eastwood, 40.8 points per game, giving up just 12.2. Strength of schedule of 63. Norwayne, 40.3 points per game, giving up 15.9. Their strength of schedule 56. First time these two programs have ever met. Drew Ludhart, 144-204 passing for Eastwood, 2,474 yards, 30 TDs. Kevin Lewis, 693 yards rushing on 126 attempts, 14 trips to pay dirt. Andre Lewis, 53 grabs, 916 yards, a dozen touchdowns. Daquan Oliver, he has 27 catches, 434 yards, 5 TDs. Cam Shoemaker, 29 catches, 601 yards, 8 TDs. And then on defense, Brock Messenger and Shoemaker both have 4 interceptions for this Eastwood defense. They got some extremely skilled dudes on the outside of this Eastwood team. Thought Norwayne had a chance in this game until I saw what Delta kind of did to them. Took them to overtime, scored a bunch of points. So I like Eastwood. I think Sam Cotterman's crew wins easily.
Well, I was going to
Easily.
ask that, and I'll ask this on the heels of what you just said. Are we guilty of reading too much into how close Delta played Norwayne?
Yes, in my opinion.
Do we just assume Eastwood's
They
going
gave up how many did they give up to Delta?
Oh, no, I know. But are we reading too much into that one game? Could it be that they just matched up horribly against that scheme, whereas Eastwood's a little more of a spread it out? Now they can run it. Eastwood can pound you too. They got some physical dudes, but are we reading too much into that one game?
The week before,
I don't know.
Norway
I'm
played
asking.
Hillsdale, and that's Hillsdale's lone loss on the season. But the thing about Norway that I'm a little bit concerned with is looking at their schedule. Um, I'm going to say it this way, a little soft relative to Eastwood's schedule, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What would Eastwood do to Delta?
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
They'd running clock them.
Well,
Right.
what'd Patrick Henry do to him? What'd Liberty Center do to him?
Yep.
You know what I mean? No, I agree. And I'm not, because I'm guilty of it too. Because I feel like, oh my gosh, Eastwood's going to run these guys out of the stadium because of last week. I'm in that boat, but I'm asking, should I be more cautious? Should we be more cautious? Because
I'm taking Eastwood in this game.
I
I think they're
am too.
going to win this
I
game,
am too.
but I don't think it's going to be a landslide.
Okay.
I just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, this Norway team, they're tough. They're going to be physical. They're going to line up and not be intimidated by Eastwood.
Yeah.
I think Eastwood's probably a little bit more balanced. I think that their schedule and how they got it done throughout the year has prepped them a little bit better than Norway.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I give Eastwood the edge, but I don't think this is going to be a rout.
I don't either, and I agree. I'm taking Eastwood. I mean, I'm with them the whole way, but it's going to be closer, I think, than folks think. I just do. But I like Eastwood and Sam Cotterman's crew. But I think Norway's gonna they're gonna be there. They're
Well,
gonna
this
be there.
Delta matchup's not the first one we've seen this season where sometimes you just get a weird matchup,
I
right?
know.
We've seen
I
on
know.
Most
Seagull.
points Delta's scored all year since
I
Airsville,
know.
though.
I know. That's
Yeah.
And they're
that's a-
pretty one-dimensional. You
that's
know
a-
what Delta's doing?
not pretty.
I don't know
one-dimensional.
how. I just question how physical Norway is.
Yeah, I know.
If you can't slow down a team, you know that's going to run right at you.
I know.
I
know. I'm chalking that one up
I
for
know.
Norway.
I know.
I know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Rest of that Region 18 bracket, guys, boy. Next week,
It's going to be some good ones.
Next week could be real good. Number 1 seed Milan Edison. They are hosting 8 seed Worcester Triway this Friday. Bottom half of that bracket, Norway Eastwood. So the Norway Eastwood winner likely going to get Milan Edison, a team that beat Sandusky Perkins earlier this season. Other side of the bracket, Liberty Center hosting Liberty Benton, as we said, and then Oak Harbor hosting Keystone. So we could have Oak Harbor to Liberty Center next week. Maybe back at Clay where they played a year ago, and then Milan Edison Eastwood.
Who did you say played Keystone, Lynn?
Oak Harbor.
Oak Harbor does.
Okay, Oak Harbor plays Keystone. Keystone beat that Clearview team Napoleon played last week 7-6.
Oh.
Keystone beat Clearview 7-6.
I'll take the Rockets.
I will
then.
take the
Pretty
yeah.
heavily.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, Oak Harbor's pretty darn good.
They are good.
Yeah.
They are
Well,
good.
A couple of good Region 18 semifinals to talk about next week. Also in Division 5, Region 20, Lima Bath. They are going to go down to top-seeded Jamestown Greenview. Lima Bath, the 9 seed, 6-5, 38.4 points per game, giving up 32.7. Strength of schedule of 13, according to Martin RPI. Greenview's strength of schedule, boys, 97. Greenview 11-0, 35.1 points per game, giving up 8 points per game. But that strength of schedule, it's pretty glaring.
Sticks out.
Yeah. Zach
Yeah.
Walsh, 2 away to 318 passing for Lima Bath, 2,645 yards, 17 TDs. Josiah Clark has 632 yards receiving. Logan Markley, 39 catches, 526 yards. Mikey Hale, he needs just 1 yard to get to 1,000. And he has 16 touchdowns. Walsh also 705 yards rushing, 17 touchdowns. Lima Bath going to pull the upset again this week by seed. I don't think it's much of an upset, though. I think Bath has played several teams that are just as good as this Greenview team. I think Lima Bath moves on in Division 5 from the WBL.
Yep, I too like Lima Bath, Lynn. I think that they're cut a little bit different. They play a harder schedule by far than what this Jamestown Greenview team does. I like the Wildcats on the road to get it done and keep going.
Stracks, think he's going to disagree
Yeah,
here.
he's feeling it. He's feeling it.
Greenview's got
97 strength of schedule.
I know. Greenview's got a couple wins that Greenview's got a couple wins that I think
They are run heavy, 380 rushes
Yeah.
this season, thrown just 65 passes. They average 495.9 yards per game, including 419.9 rushing. Alex Horney is their top rusher, 1,339 yards, 20 TDs. Chase Walker, 82 carries, 772 yards, 10 touchdowns.
Well, I can see where the strength of schedule comes in looking at their schedule because I know some of these teams. And so 42-14 over West Liberty Salem is a nice win.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, there's a lot of wins against 2-8s, 1-9s, 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 3-7s. I have Bath written down.
Changing or what?
I'm going to stick with Bath, but doggone it, I'm going to go with Bath. I'm starting to overthink it. I think Greenview's could win a close one, but I got to go with Bath.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Rest of that Region 20 bracket guys. Greenview, Lima, Bath in the top left. Preble, Shawnee, the 4 seed. They will host 5 seed Indian Lake this week in the bottom half on that side. And then on the other side, 2 seed West Liberty Salem. They are hosting 7 seed Miami East. Waynesville is the 3 seed. They will host Cincinnati Madera in that matchup there in Region 20. We're going to take another break here from the Gerken companies and move to Division 6.
Who says a college degree is the only path to a fulfilling career? At the Gerken Companies, we offer rewarding livelihoods with or without a degree. Gerken provides a generous benefits package, continuous training, top-notch equipment, and a culture that rewards effort. We're looking for rock-solid performers to help build and reinforce the region's infrastructure. Whether you have construction experience or are just starting your career, apply now at gerkencompanies.com/careers.
Thank you again to the Gerken Companies, the presenting sponsor of our podcast this season. All right, Division 6, Region 22. This is going to be our game cast this week at Big Red Stadium as 12 seed Cary will go to 4 seed Patrick Henry. The Blue Devils 6-5, 29.7 points per game, giving up 16.7. Strength of schedule of 24 at Patrick Henry, the 4 seed, 9-2, 34.4 points per game, giving up just 6.9. Strength of schedule is 44. These two teams have never met in the playoff era going back to 1972. Cary 302 yards rushing a week ago at Tenora. Had to kind of eke that one out. Eli Steen eating the regular season. I don't have their stats from a week ago added to this. 1,317 yards on 194 totes, 18 touchdowns. Mace Puckett and Dash Puckett, a couple of their standout defenders. Mace has 101 tackles. Dash has 91. Carter Bame, 17 tackles for loss. Louis Watkins, 16 tackles for loss. Phoenix, a young man that you mentioned on Saturday morning's Rise and Rewind show, 4 interceptions this season for the Blue Devils. PH, run heavy, 349 rushes this season, 2,740 yards, 39 TDs on the ground, 63 of 110 passing, 1,001 yards. Lincoln Prager, 1,145 yards rushing, 20 TDs, 56 and 93 passing. He is 57 yards short of getting to 1,000 in the passing department, 13 TDs. How about PH this season? Their defense. Foes have gained 779 yards on 327 rushes. That's 1.2 yards per carry. 1.2 per carry.
No sledding there.
Passing opponents are 55 and 137. They've thrown more interceptions than TDs at 490 yards. 2 touchdowns is all opponents have passing this season on Patrick Henry. Now, they haven't played a lot of aired out teams for full disclosure, but the PH defense has 7 interceptions. The 2 teams that they played with really good running attacks by far, Columbus Grove, 155 yards on 37 rushing attempts. LC ran for 287 yards on 53 attempts. So the 2 teams that have pretty good running games had pretty good nights against PH. Akevian Kreider, 102 tackles this season for that PH defense. Grant Smith, 87 tackles, 23 for loss, and 8 sacks.
23 for loss. If you take out, which you don't take them out because they played them, but if you take out Liberty and Grove,
Yeah.
are they giving up like a half a yard
Not much.
per game for crying out loud?
And we're not picking this since we're calling it.
No, right.
Just giving you some, let's see, I can.
Yeah. No, you mentioned Trip Phoenix, 4 picks. He did have a pick against Tenora.
Yeah, so now you'd have 5. That was regular season.
Yep.
779.
Out had a
minus
6th one in that game, too.
155 minus 287 equals 337. So outside of those 2 games, they've given up 442 yards rushing in their other 9 games.
Divided by 9.
Oops. What did I do wrong there? No, I forgot what I had in there.
422 divided by 9. No, that's per game.
Per game, 46.9.
You'd have to do it by rush, divided by
Yeah, and
rush.
I don't have.
It's less than a yard.
Yeah, I don't have their total rushes. I'd have to do some math here, but
no, they're stellar. They're stellar defensively, and it starts with their game planning and their coaching staff. And
this is a little bit different running team, though.
It's different. And watching the Cary Tenora game, you think of a team that's like a wing T team or a flex bone, wishbone, opt-in team. Cary's none of that. Cary, you don't like. They don't do anything conventional. Like, okay, that's wing T or that's wishbone. They give you a bunch of different weird looks. They'll have like a tight end and 2 wings and just.
The next time they'll be 4 wide.
Yeah. So you don't know what you're going to get. But you mentioned the puckets. They are oak trees. They are tanks. And then they'll get in the stacked eye. They do that a lot. Boom, boom, boom. And the first guy who's sniffing the quarterback, he's down in a 4-point. Okay, and call him the fullback. And then the next guy behind him's down in the 3-point, and the tailback's up in the 2-point. And they do a bunch of stuff off that. And they have Trip Phoenix split out on offense, who is an absolute burner. He absolutely toasted the Tenora defense last Friday night on one of their first touchdown, I think. They just threw a fade to him, and they threw it a mile. Didn't look like he was going to get to it. Can burn. And so they've got some guys, but Patrick Henry, it's going to be old school. Play it in a phone booth. Can Patrick Henry get some movement? They've relied heavily on Lincoln Kreger's legs. Can they get some movement? Because Cary's physical, and I am so jacked to have this game Friday, Lynn. Thanks to Luke George and those guys. This is a good one. I can't believe they've never played.
Yeah, I thought they would have too, but nope. From my research, could not find when they've met before.
That'd
Not
be
that
fun.
far apart, honestly.
No, and a lot of tradition at both places.
Cary's won a couple state titles.
Yeah.
Back, they went back in the 70s, I think. Maybe like in the late 70s, they won one. And then obviously 3 years ago in 2021.
Yeah, they were bullies, that team.
Oh,
they were physical, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. That's Liberty Center.
Yeah.
Well, analysis-wise for me, I think, Tory, you pointed out, I think it's going to be played in a phone booth. You got a bunch of different looks that Cary throws at you. Coach I'll have that game plan dialed up. He's going to go through film. He's going to make sure his defense understands what Cary's going to, bring out there and have a plan and a counter for that. Give me PH at home at Big Red Stadium in this one.
Okay. All right. Pre-game 6:30 on Friday night. Kickoff at 7 for a shot at the regional semifinals there in Division 6, Region 22. Also in Region 22, Fairview, there you're going to go to the Village to face the Green Bears of Ottawa Hills. Apache's the 6th seed, 9-2, 36.6 points per game, 19.2 points per game allowed. Strength of schedule of 87. Ottawa Hills, the 3 seed, 9-1, have not lost since that opener against Gibsonburg. 46.4 points per game is Ottawa Hills. That's the top scoring offense in Division 6, giving up just 11.3. Strength of schedule of 89. So both strength of schedules in this matchup. Experts don't love their strength of schedule. Fairview leads the all-time series 9-3, last met in 2019. Fairview has ran for 1,072 yards, passing 220 of 357. So they've passed it a ton this season. William Zedike is their standout quarterback, 3,225 yards, 30 TDs. Logan Olinger, he's over 1,000 yards, 1,129, 11 touchdowns. Gavin Mead, 738 yards, 9 TDs. Then you have Brody Williams, 39 catches, 589 yards, 7 TDs. Defensive side for Fairview, Brett Grine, 113 tackles. Gavin Garza, 106. Fairview has allowed 1,830 yards rushing this season. Teams that they face that have pretty good rushing attacks, listen to these numbers. Maybe you wouldn't say Wasion, but they ran for 255 against Fairview. Delta ran for 386. Ayersville 198. Woodmore a week ago ran for 205. Ottawa Hills has outrushed their foes this season, 2,145 to 854. Rocco Pillarelli, 144 totes, 1,480 yards, 16 TDs. Chase Miller, experienced quarterback, 115 and 166, 1,862 yards, 31 TDs, just 5 picks. His top target, Reddick Pillarelli, 42 catches, 560 yards, 8 TDs. Nick Anderson, 484 yards, 7 TDs. Jackson Snyder, 23 catches, 444 yards, 9 touchdowns. Ottawa Hills has only allowed a little over 1,000 yards passing this season. And watch out for Chase Miller, 5 picks, 2 return for touchdowns. Snyder has 3 picks, also 1 return for a touchdown, and Anderson has 2 interceptions.
Fairview's strength is Ottawa Hills' strength.
Yes.
Strength on strength, skill positions.
Yep.
Ottawa Hills in the Village. I like Fairview. They got some physicality to them. Love Will Zedike. I think he's really good. They've got some receivers and they can get nasty on defense. But in the Village, Ottawa Hills, you talk about teams with momentum right now, teams that are hot, teams that have it cranking. Coach Carter's going to have them feeling it in the Village. I like them by a couple scores at least. Ottawa Hills at home.
Yep, the Apaches this year put together a nice season. Coach Rakes a 9-2 outing here. They've done well. Tory, I agree with you. Ottawa Hills is just hitting different right now. They're extremely tough at home all season. I think that continues this Friday night, and I look for them. I agree with you. I think that this could be a 2 to 3 score margin by the end of it. Give me the Green Bears.
If Rocco runs wild, it's going to be a long bus ride
I don't
back
think
to
that's an
Sherwood.
if.
If he runs for big yardage, Fairview's in trouble. They don't have a chance.
Yep.
They better slow down Rocco in this one to have any chance. Not saying that Chase Miller can't beat you by himself, because he can with that outstanding receiving core. But if Rocco goes for 150 plus, start the buses. Fairview's headed home. Now, if they can control him, Fairview's got a chance.
Yeah.
I like Ottawa Hills.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Ottawa Hills is playing really good right now. And just the rushing yards that Fairview has allowed against good rushing teams, that scares me.
Yeah.
Better get that shored up this week.
Yeah, it has to.
The problem with Ottawa Hills, though, you throw all that into stopping Rocco.
They can throw it just as easy, though.
Reddick's going to have a night. Chase Miller's going to distribute that ball around to his receivers, and now you're going to have to drop back. Boom, right back to Rocco we go.
Yeah. Let's take a break here from the Swanton Welding Company. Come back and look at Division 7, guys. The Swanton Welding Company proudly supports our local student athletes and coaches. We're committed to being your local steel fabrication company in Northwest Ohio and building projects across the country. For job opportunities at the Swanton Welding Company, visit www.swantonweld.com or visit them at 407 Zider Way in Swanton. Thank you to the Swanton Welding Company for their continued support. Looking back at the Division 6 Region 22 bracket, guys, top seed Hopewell Loudon, they're hosting Seneca East. The winner of that one will get the winner of the Patrick Henry Carey game, and the Ottawa Hills Fairview matchup will get the winner of 2 seed Bluffton, who is hosting Huron on Friday night. Bluffton, a little bit closer game than many expected against Paulding, as there's some chinks in the armor of Bluffton. Maybe we'll be talking about Bluffton a week from now if they can get by Huron in that matchup. Last division that we're going to talk about, we also have some 8-man playoffs to talk about as well. Division 7, Region 26, the rematch. Lima Central Catholic, the 8 seed, 8-3, 25.1 points per game, 16.5 allowed. Strength of schedule of 26 at top seeded Columbus Grove. And by most people's expectations, the biggest challenge to Marion Local to win the Division 7 state championship. The Bulldogs 11-0, scoring 42.1, giving up 10.5 points per game. Strength of schedule of 12. The all-time lead in this series is LCC. They lead at 9-8. Thunderbirds had won 8 straight over Grove from 2007 to 14 before the 28-20 loss 3 weeks ago at Clymer Stadium. Grove has outscored its opponents 180 to 13 in the first 12 minutes of games this season. Grove 14-1 in the playoffs at Clymer Stadium. The only loss, do you guys know?
Liberty Center.
Yep, that is correct. Grove is 118-34 at Clymer Stadium since 1997. Grove has a 19-game winning streak and has won 34 of the last 35 games at Clymer Stadium. Last loss was 2021 in the second round to Liberty Center. Evan Verhoff broke a school record in their Week 10 win over Bluffton by kicking his 54th extra point. He is currently 63 of 64 on PA kicks for the season. For his career, he has successfully kicked 112 of 119 attempts. That's 94.1%. Senior standout Trenton Barraza, 1,911 yards on 210 attempts this season. That's 9.1 per carry, 28 touchdowns. If he reaches 2,000, he would become the second rusher in school history to get there. Blaine Mag, who had 2,703, as he's inching closer to that Blaine Mag record. He may get there if Columbus Grove can continue this playoff foray. Trenton Barraza has run for 100 yards in 21 of his last 22 games and 32 games in his career. First meeting, 28-20 Grove. LCC did score with 24 seconds left to make that one a little bit tighter. LCC actually had an edge in total yards, 303 to 299. Grove led in rushing, though, 209 to 144. Barraza had 181 yards, 2 TDs that night. LCC quarterback Brady Parker, 12 of 17, 161 yards, and ran for 65 yards on 16 keepers in that loss. Mylan Cowens, he torched the Bulldogs for 112 yards on a trio of catches. LCC turned it over twice on lost fumbles as well. Just giving you all the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to keep this close this time? Scott Paulty, a Columbus Grove grad, knows the program well. Can they keep this one tight?
No.
Okay.
No. But I like your analysis there, Lynn, because those 2 lost fumbles, they matter. The score late, okay.
Grove didn't have any turnovers that night.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
played clean as far as that goes. Yeah, I think they got Grove's attention. I'll be surprised if it's that close again. I like Grove somewhere in the ballpark of a 35-7 type ball game. And I know that may sound silly after it was 28-20 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I like Grove.
Yeah, I think at this point, we talked too soon to pick against somebody earlier in the podcast here. Too soon to pick against the Columbus Grove Bulldogs with the season that they're having. I agree with you, Tory. I think Coach Schaefer and crew will have reviewed that film at length to make sure that they understand what made that game what it was. And I think it's going to be a long night for LCC. Give me Columbus Grove.
I agree. Yep. I like the Bulldogs in that matchup as well to move on. Also in Division 7, Region 26, Leipzig, after getting the win over Ada last week as the 11 seed, they will go to 3 seed Gibsonburg. The Vikings 7-4, 24.8 points per game, giving up 19.5 per game. Strength of schedule of 51. Gibsonburg 9-2, 30.9 points per game, giving up just 10.4. Gibsonburg's strength of schedule really good this season, 10th in all of Division 7. This is the first meeting between the two programs. Leipzig freshman quarterback Mark Kirkendall, 165 at 260, 2,293 yards, 18 TDs. His leading receiver, Jace Brecht, 54 catches, 811 yards, 7 touchdowns. Ty Lammers has 683 yards and 6 TDs on 42 grabs. Joe Wyatt doing a great job with that Gibsonburg program. Another just brutal rushing attack for Gibsonburg. 3,104 yards on the ground this season. They have 2 outstanding sophomores, Grant Smith, 203 rushes, 1,444 yards, 15 touchdowns, and then fellow sophomore Reese Walby, 84 carries, 788 yards. That's 9.4 per carry, 13 touchdowns. Gibsonburg, just 19 of 39 passing, 389 yards.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you about Gibsonburg, and this might be about all you need to know. 2 losses on the season to teams that are combined 21-0. Milan Edison, week 3, we've talked about them at length.
That one was tight,
They
wasn't it?
lost 7-12 to Edison, and to Hopewell Loudon, 10-0, lost 14-27. So Gibsonburg is the absolute real deal. We look back week 1, that Ottawa Hills game, and we said, oh, geez, Ottawa Hills kind of fumbled that game and blah, blah, blah. And only, for Ottawa Hills to tear off from there. So this Gibsonburg team is cut a little bit different, built a little bit different. Lipsick, hats off for getting the revenge on Ada last week, advancing. I like, I look back at that close loss to PG back in week 4 where they only lost by 3. But I think they're going to hit a buzzsaw with this Gibsonburg team. Give me the Golden Bears in this one.
Yeah, you get in trouble comparing scores in that, but we all do it, and I think sometimes it matters. All you needed to say, Neil, was how close Gibsonburg played Edison, who beat Perkins.
Correct.
Who beat Perkins. Okay, and that's
and everybody else.
Yep, and everybody else bad. That seals it for me. Lipsick super well coached. They're going to score some points in this game, but the Gibsonburg ground game is going to be too much. I like Gibsonburg.
I like Gibsonburg as well. What kind of a score are you looking at? Margin?
I think close. I do.
You think Lipsick can hang in this?
I do. 28-21. I really do. I think Lipsick, Joe Kirkendall's really good in these, single elimination, winner take all tournament type thing. They're going to be ready. I'm going to say 28-21.
I don't think it's that close.
Don't you?
No.
I think it could be a 2-score game, probably.
I'm even
35-14.
I think the Golden Bears
pretty stout, aren't they?
They are.
I know
Milan Edison.
Yeah, I know. No, I know. I know some of the Lipsick kids and families and kind of.
I don't think it's that close.
Yeah,
I think it's 4 scores.
Do you?
I will tell you, I think
35-7.
that Lipsick has probably played the tougher schedule this year.
Not according to the experts. Lipsick's is 51. Gibsonburg is 10. You have to think they played a lot of
Edison
Division
and
5.
Hopewell Loudon.
Yeah,
Yep,
they
no
played
doubt
a
about
couple
that.
teams that are 10-0.
What do you think, Lynn? 42-14? 35-7?
This Gibsonburg team's good.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, Neil, rewind all the way back, and we're going, what happened to Ottawa Hills in that game?
Yeah.
Little did we know at the time, right?
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that we looked at that as a real shocker week 1.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I might have to go back and listen to that podcast because that might have been one we say, hey, it might have been one of those where he said, any surprises from last week? Oh, yeah, what about this?
Yeah.
And it's, well, maybe not quite as big a surprise as we thought.
No. 8-man playoffs this week begin, guys. Who's your state champion? Toledo Christian Holgate, and Chalker is at Sandusky St. Mary Central Catholic.
Well, I think the state championship game to me is Toledo Christian, Sandusky St. Mary's. I think that's who you're going to see over at Don Paul Stadium, Fremont Ross. So that said, I just gave away both of my picks for this week.
Well, you only had to pick one. We're not picking Chalker and Sandusky St. Mary.
Well, either way, I picked it anyhow. So shout out to my guy Dalton Cavassos last week about a 50-yard scoop and score for that young man. So big Dalton, good job with that scoop and score. That's a dandy.
Does Toledo Christian running clock their way to the 8-man state title?
I don't know that they do it to Sandusky St. Mary, but they'll running clock whole game.
I'll tell you this: if their starters play 4 quarters, yes, I'll go on record right now and say that.
Okay.
Well, if it's a running clock, their starter's probably not going to play 4 quarters, though.
We'll see.
Never know what kind of mood the old Eagles might be.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, you got a bunch of quality seniors that have poured into this program. It's their last game. They haven't played, I don't think, a 4-quarter game all season. Yeah. Let them eat, Coach Skills. Let them eat.
Let them eat.
Yeah, this game will be on Friday. Holgate at Toledo Christian. A little dissension about when this game is played because the agreement was you're going to play all these games on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be Saturday.
So they get away from the 11-man. Holgate wasn't notified until Monday afternoon than it was going to be on Friday. So
Ooh,
just
yeah,
laying it out there. You got to give Holgate a little bit more
yeah,
further notice than waiting till Monday at 1:00.
yeah. I
You
agree.
have to know when you're going to play the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that that's going to change the outcome of this, but it also gives an advantage next week against Chalker and Sigma. I'm just
Yeah.
my personal thoughts.
Yeah.
Toledo Christian, let them know you're playing the game on Friday instead of Saturday and what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But Toledo Christian's going to roll. They will have no problem with Holgate. It was 62-0 just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Toledo Christian as well.
Jason O'Neill, 26 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks. Evan Ryan, 17 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks. It's like Toledo Christian's playing junior high
It's
teams.
like one of them
games right now.
one of those video
it's-
games that you play.
They're just absolutely crushing teams. Tyler Grace, he is 90 yards from 2,000, 28 TDs.
Carter
Kester is over 1,000 yards, 50 catches, 17 touchdowns. Josiah Hillrich, 28 catches, 623 yards. But they're going to running clock Holgate. They may running clock Sandusky, St. Mary. It was, 28-0 last week over the Panthers. There's
Little doubt.
doubt about who's going to win the Ohio 8-man state championship.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Yep.
How many teams could they beat 11-man from our area?
Oh,
Toledo Christian.
boy, you
Several.
know, you go league by league.
Well, just put them back in the old tack where they came out of when they went to 8-man.
Ooh,
Would they win the TAC this year?
I don't think they'd win
think
the
they'd have
tack
a
with.
loss.
Yeah, they'd have a loss against the aforementioned Green Bears.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that they play.
How Eden would match up with them.
It'd be interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Just a question that
Yeah.
Outside of Ottawa Hills at Eden, they run the table there.
Yeah, they do. GMC, they win some games. GMC, they win some games for sure. NWAL, they actually win some games this year.
NWC.
NWC, yeah, a little tougher in the NWC.
PVC, they'd win some.
Oh, BVC, they'd win more than they'd lose in the BVC. Well, that's not school size. Yeah,
That's like the school size conferences. Right
Yeah,
there. So,
yeah.
they're gonna be a 500 or better team.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Interesting to think about.
Yeah. Just something that some
Yeah.
folks wanted me to ask you guys.
Yeah. No, they'd beat a lot of teams and a lot of leagues around here
Yep. There's no doubt.
that
They'd have
contain Division
some of the
5.
best players on the field.
Yeah, they
in a
would.
lot of those games with
Yep.
some of the dudes that they have.
Yeah, they would.
Thank you to the Gerken Companies for being the presenting sponsor of our podcast. Thank you to Tory, Strock, Neil Schuller for joining me again this week. We'll be back next week to talk about regional semifinals. We should have some great matchup, guys.
Thank you, guys. Can't
Yeah.
wait, man.
Get down to the wire, boys.
Yep. Tune in next Monday, November 11th. Our next podcast will be out. Reminder, Rise and Rewind, 8 a.m. Saturday morning on our network link. We'll get that link out on our website and all the social media aspects. Have a great week, everybody. We will talk to you again next week.